Last night I recorded a video that was supposed to be me grading day one of NBA free agency, but once I started to edit it, I realized I spent about 3 minutes talking about Paul George and the Clippers. Keep in mind I was editing this video around midnight, right before bed, and I realized that 5 years ago, Paul and Kawhi signed with LA at like 3 in the morning, which means if this happened again, my video would have aged like milk. So I turned my computer off and went to bed, and then... What's going on, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in to Late Hoops. Today's video, we're going to be grading every single move that happened through the first 12 hours of free agency. We're going to be a bit more harsh to certain players and certain agents, and then we're going to spend a little bit more time and love on certain agents and players. If you're new here, please be sure to consider hitting that subscribe button, as we are on the road to 3,000 subscribers, and we are uploading pretty much daily through the NBA offseason. Without further ado, let's get into the first, I would say, kind of big move. The Clippers retain James Harden on a 2-year, $70 million contract. I really do enjoy this move. I spoke about this in my video kind of yesterday, that I did like the idea of James and Kawhi and surrounding pieces kind of just running that floor. I think when we first got the Kawhi and Paul tandem, we were very excited about the potential that they had just on both sides of the ball. And after a few years, some injuries, some time gone by, I think it was very obvious that this triple threat was not, or double triple threat, I guess you'd say, was not what we signed up to. You know, Paul never really showed the defense that he did in Oklahoma City. A lot of people talk about this trade, how the Clippers got fleeced. And yes, in hindsight, they did. But you guys got to remember, Paul finished top 3 in MVP and Defensive Player of the Year voting when he was acquired. And he really just was never the same in Los Angeles. I think James being here is great. It gives him the chance to kind of be the number 2 guy on a team. He did look great in Philadelphia, other than the postseason. So I'm interested to see how this goes. I would give this a B+. I wish they could have got something for Paul George, like on a sign and trade, but they now have a lot of room to work with the cap space. Next, Chris Paul signs with the San Antonio Spurs. I'm giving this an S+, just solely based on the fact that Chris is going to help guys like Trey Jones, Devin Vassell, do I even need to say Victor Wembanyama, get better, get mentally tougher. We all remember how things went with Chris in Oklahoma City. He helped Shea prosper into a smarter, more poised guard, and I'm not saying that Chris did all of that. Obviously, Shea has a tremendous amount of skill, but for someone who's kind of already leading in the direction of being an efficient, a non-turnover type of guard, all the Jones brothers, Trey and Tyus, they both really do take care of the basketball, and I think this could be excellent for him just going forward. And like I said, Devin Vassell. Next, KCP gets shipped out to Orlando on a 3-year, $66 million deal, I think it was. I'm seeing a lot of people say that the Denver Nuggets should have done more. They did all they could. They offered him the contract. It was around the same numbers. I think it was actually a 4-year deal though, but KCP wants to go to Orlando. I completely understand, as KCP, it's closer to home if he lives in Orlando. And also, I must mention, KCP has a lot of miles on the tank, guys. I'm not sure who's going to replace him. I don't know if they're going to expect Christian Braun, who cannot really shoot as well as KCP, nowhere near as well as KCP now that I'm saying it out loud, to replace that role, but they will find someone else with the $66 million. Maybe Bruce Brown comes back. Who knows, guys? All I really know is that KCP has a lot of miles on the body, and for Orlando, this is something perfect for Paolo Banchero. He can go in there and teach them what it's like to be a champion, what it's like to carry themselves, and then hopefully if they find themselves in another Game 7, the outcome is different. Next, this is a great move for the Clippers. Derrick Jones Jr. gets signed, 3 years, $30 million. I think next to James Harden, Derrick Jones will have a phenomenal year. As long as both of these guys can stay healthy, James has always excelled with high-flying guys who can shoot the 3 and play defense. I mean, that's kind of what the Houston Rockets was. Trevor Ariza, Gerald Green, Eric Gordon, PJ Tucker. I know those last 2 guys don't really jump out the gym like Derrick, but you get the point I'm trying to make. At $10 million a year, I think this is a very team-friendly contract. I hope Derrick comes with that energy and just continues to ball out. You guys remember in the Mavericks postseason, I think he had 2 or 3 20-point games against the Thunder, and he had a 20-point game, I want to say, against the Timberwolves. Next, Philadelphia signs Kelly Oubre to a 2-year, $16 million contract. Just off value alone, this is easily an A, maybe even an S. It feels like Kelly's been bouncing around the league for a long time now, but hopefully he feels that he's found a home in Philadelphia. Now Kelly can come off the bench and be that 6th man, as they did acquire Paul George.
Kelly's game is just phenomenal. Very, very quick first step, good slasher, shoot the mid-range, shoot the three ball, can play a little defense, very bouncy, mentally pretty tough, good at chirping. Just a great player, someone you hate to play against and love to play with. I would give this, like I said, an A. Next, I'm giving this one a D-. Actually, I'm not going to be that mean. A C-. Kevin Love returns to the Heat, 2 years, $8 million, $4 million a year. This just doesn't move me at all. It's good for the locker room, good for chemistry, but I don't even know if Jimmy's going to be in Miami, so I don't want to spend much time talking about this. Andre Drummond goes back to Philly. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Drummond has played in Philadelphia before, even if it was just for half a season. This is good backup depth. Wonder what that means for Paul Reed. It was very needed. If JoJo is like the most unhealthy guy in the world, Andre Drummond knows how to rebound the basketball, and he's very good at it. Next, Valanciunas to the Wizards, F. I mean F just for the agent, not even Jonas. I love Jonas, but good Lord. If Isaiah Hartenstein is getting 3-year $87 million and you're getting 3-year $30 million, something is not right. Like not right at all. Jonas, you could have played literally anywhere. Memphis, LA, Los Angeles, or the other Los Angeles, Sacramento, Oklahoma City, back to the Pelicans. I promise you, there is no way 30 million at 3-year, 10 mil a clip is where you cap out. If you have family in Washington, good for you, my brother, but you are a great basketball player, and the Wizards are not a great basketball organization. So if you were going to go there, why would you not get a fat contract? I don't know. I'm not talking about this anymore. Next, Philadelphia, another great bench piece. They signed Eric Gordon. Get that as much shooting as you can around JoJo and Tyrese. This is a B. Mavericks signed Naji Marshall to a 3-year, $27 million a year contract. This is kind of replacing, I guess, Derrick Jones Jr. I'm giving this a B+. If you guys have been watching me for a while, you know I love Naji Marshall. Great player, very talented, can shoot the three, play defense, put the ball on the floor. Just a very great bench guy, glue guy, whatever you want to say. His stint in New Orleans, I'll never really forget that month where Brandon and CJ were hurt. And he averaged like 17 points a game. He was just a lot of fun to watch. Next, Sun signs Mason Plumlee. It's mid, C deal. He's gonna give you 8, 5, and 5. He's 34 years old, not very athletic anymore. Good bench guy. I have no idea what the Suns are gonna be, so I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this. Probably the most polarizing move of free agency. The Clippers signed Kevin Porter Jr., Kevin Domestic Jr. Not a great guy, but pretty decent basketball player. He's got potential off the bench, could be six-man type of guy. I mean, it's funny that Jonte Porter's banned for life, and then Kevin and Miles can put their hands on their partners and then get back into the NBA. It's not funny. It's just more like embarrassing. Nonetheless, I'm going to refrain from giving this a rating. I do like Porter's game. I just don't like him as a person. And moving on to the back half of this video, guys. Paul George signs with the Philadelphia 76ers. How do I feel about this? Very interesting. I think it would have been fun to watch him in Golden State. It would have been a little easier to root for him in Golden State. I don't necessarily love the fit in Philly. And that's not due to the fact that I don't think his game would complement JoJo and Tyrese. I just think that Paul George is such a podcasty media guy, and I think that will be good for Joel, but it's like the same sword you strike with is the same sword that strikes you. I think in the beginning it's going to be fun. They're going to be making laughs together. It's going to be a lot of, but then in the playoffs, if the ship starts sinking, I can very easily see the podcasting going crazy. Joel trolling on Twitter. I know he's been a little bit better than that, but these guys are injury prone, and in the last couple of years, Paul's head has not been in the competitive space, and maybe that's just the LA lifestyle. But if Paul can be competitive, if he can care for his teammates, if he can just not be pandemic P, I think Philly's got a really good chance next year. Their bench is phenomenal. Their starting five is even better. Speaking of Philly, they lost Tobias Harris, a 2-year, $52 million year to the Pistons. This is a good move for both parties. I mean, if you're Philly, you let him walk. He had a terrible year. Then if you're the Pistons, you're finally getting Cade Cunningham some space after you just signed him to that massive contract. We're not going to talk about that, but that's an S. Cade is a beast, 6'8" point guard, can do literally everything on the court. Tobias Harris, I hope he can just shoot the ball. That's really all they want. They're going to pay him $25 million, $26 million a year just to shoot the basketball. Next, Hartenstein agrees to a 3-year, $87 million deal. Just for any other team, I wouldn't give this a B+, but for the Oklahoma City Thunder, who desperately need rebound and big men play, this is going to get an A.
Hardenstein, or B plus, whatever you want to call it. Hardenstein, great player, did good in the playoffs. Very, very big on the offensive glass. Not as great of a defender as his former teammate Mitchell Robinson, but I think he's got very good charisma, and I think he's going to fit in perfectly with the young core in Oklahoma City. Then finally, we got a couple small contracts. Luka Graza on the Wolves, they make a deal. Very happy. He's obviously was a hell of a player in college, and now he's kind of trying to find his footing. He'll probably be pretty decent rotational piece his entire career. Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins both signed contracts with the Thunder. Great. Keep that young core up, guys. Eubanks goes to the Utah Jazz. I definitely am interested in seeing how this plays out just because Walker Kessler, I'm hoping, just continues to get those minutes. But maybe Eubanks can learn a thing or two on defense. And then finally, Tyrese Maxey inks a extension with the Sixers. Obviously, you're going to love that. Give that an A, whatever you want. But what do you guys think? What do you make of this video? What was your favorite move of the deadline so far? If you made it this far, I appreciate y'all support as always. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Stay happy, healthy, and blessed. Peace.